All right, it's 7:04. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have one council member on Zoom tonight. Agenda, right? Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The agenda is approved. Doug, did you?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Or it kicked me off for a second, so.
I don't have my list of orders. Is it the consent agenda or number 2?
Oh, here.
No, I have that. Usually I have a separate.
Oh.
So if I go out of order, I apologize. So moving on to presentations, proclamations, and visitors. We have presentations tonight. Someone from the Liberty House. And I'm gonna say your name totally messed up. So go ahead and please introduce yourself.
Well, I'm not on the agenda, but I'm Bruce Anderson. I'm Deputy CEO for Liberty House. And this is Cameron Wolfer with me, our Assistant Deputy CEO and Multidisciplinary Team Coordinator and MDT Coordinator. First, thank you so much for allowing us some time on your agenda tonight. We really appreciate it. It's an honor to be here actually with you all because we're commemorating Child Abuse Prevention Month this month. And we at Liberty House really appreciate Aumsville and the police department for being such great partners with Liberty House on the Marion County MDT. Liberty House is the Children's Advocacy Center serving Marion and Polk counties. And as the CAC for this region, we provide specialized pediatric and therapy services for children referred for concerns of physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, witness to domestic violence, trafficking, and other types of trauma. Liberty House is actually one of 24 CACs here in Oregon and one of over 960 across the nation. In 2024, we served over 1,000 children between our clinic and therapy programs and provided prevention education for another 1,500 grown-ups. Children who need our services have been through a very difficult experience, which is why there are rigorous standards of accreditation to meet. Our collective hard work actually came to fruition just this last year as we attained national accreditation through our national organization, the National Children's Alliance. And your agency played an important role in that happening. And because of the high quality of work you do and your role on the Marion County MDT, we know that we are among the top 5% of CACs and MDTs in the country. So now I'm going to turn it over to Cameron for the good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you. Like Bruce said, we are here to recognize and honor the Aumsville Police Department because of its sophistication, hard work, choices, and collaboration in responding to concerns of child abuse, and its hard work made it possible for us to be accredited. In 2023 and 2024, Liberty House received 29 referrals for our clinic services, that's medical exams and forensic interviews, family support, regarding children from Aumsville. Thanks to your commitment to keeping children safe and holding offenders accountable, we know that there is hope for these children. We also know that it is never too late to seek help and to heal. Thank you, Chief Flowers, for your dedication.
Thank you for coming down and doing that.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to 2B, Arbor Day proclamation. Do we have one for me to sign?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read it. It says Arbor Day Proclamation. The city of Aumsville recognizes, whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by the wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, monitoring the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Angelica Ceja, Mayor of the City of Aumsville, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the City of Aumsville, and the council urges all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support the efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, council urges all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. And I'll sign this later at the end of. Okay, moving on. Public comment. Is there any public comment online or anyone signed up?
Nope.
Nope, okay. Moving on to number 3, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Consent agenda is approved unanimously. Moving on to number 4, public hearings. There are no public hearings. Item number 5, old business. There is no old business. Moving on to number 6. 6A, new business, SBR agreement, updated contract. We have Matt presenting.
All righty, thank you, Council. Matt Etzel, Assistant Public Works Director. Before you are the SBR contracts for the wastewater treatment plant improvements. We've talked about this quite a bit lately. Was some back and forth with Xylem about some of the language. So in your staff report and in the updated contracts, there's some updated language, and I'll go through that real quick. Part of it had to do with payment. They added a stipulation that in no event later than 60 days, they would receive payment unless there was a dispute to, the payment request. The next one is the limited liability. So the original contract that was sent out in the RFP and to Xylem had no limit to the liability to Xylem if something went wrong. This equipment is built in a factory. It's put together somewhere else and then brought to the site during construction, and our general contractor who we'll hire will install this equipment. They'd like to limit their liability to the cost of the contract price, which going back and forth with the attorney and our city engineer, we agree that's reasonable. The original language we used was from a USDA template, And so we also got approval from USDA for that language change, and they agreed that it was okay to change that language. Those were the two major things. There was one more to the schedule. They asked for some additional time to submit their submittals. We asked that they submit some of the major equipment, like the aerator grid, some of the design features, to submit those to us first so that we can continue on with the design. That was the whole purpose of doing the RFP process for the equipment, was so that we could design the basins and the rest of the facility around this specific equipment. They've agreed to do that with some of the later stuff like PLCs and electronic equipment that doesn't require like a modification to space in the design. Those will come at a later date, a little bit later on than what we originally had proposed. You will see, we brought the recommendation to award to council a few months ago. You'll see a significant reduction in cost. When the project first went out for the RFP, the Xylem, like all of us, is learning the BABA stuff. They found a supplier in America that builds and puts together the decanter mechanism, which is a pretty big piece of the wastewater treatment plant. And that contractor had given them a price, kind of a ballpark number, said, this is what we think it's going to cost us to build it in America. Here's your price. Normally those things are built in Mexico. And during the negotiations, the contractor came back after they got some more information about the project and were like, we can build it for this much. They offered that savings to us, which is pretty generous. They could have just ran with that price and said, we're making an extra $400,000 and you know, the city would be on the hook for that. So we think that's pretty fair of them to pass along those savings. We're hoping that if our BABA waiver goes through, you know, there could be some additional savings. But right now, this is where we're at with the project. So happy to answer any questions. I know it's a big dollar amount, but
how comfortable are you with, but in no event later than 60 days of receipt? Ron, are you guys,
It's standard language. We'd love it to be, that's fairly standard language. We'd love it to be longer. Some of our smaller contracts, it's 30 days. So, but because this is such a large dollar amount and some of these payments will be significant amounts. It's probably what we have to agree to. I don't think we could get them to extend that any further. I do have one comment. In the motion of council approves the contract. I'm hesitant to identify Fund 19 as the only source because this project is of such size. Depending on grant flow and money coming in and out, funds will be distributed from either Fund 19 or Fund 29, which is the System Development Charge Fund. And the sewer project will be taken from both of those. So I would just simply approve it as presented and not identify a fund or identify those two funds. It was pretty generous for the company to come and offer that discount. That is a lot of money, $400,000 to the city. The terms of the contract, the equipment, nothing's changed in our estimate. It's just they were able to reduce their cost and they passed that along, and they did not have to do that. Most companies wouldn't. So we feel pretty good about working with this company.
Yeah, they wouldn't even have to say a word, right?
Yeah,
Just get
no.
it themselves.
yeah, we would have never known had they
Yeah.
not brought it up to us. And to touch on the 60-day, just to kind of explain how the process works. So they would submit submittals to our city engineer. They would review those. We would review, a lot of times, like with what they'll do for equipment like this is they'll take pictures of it, identify it that it's ours in the warehouse. So that would work. Maybe the dispute would come is like, no, you said you're charging us for, 75%, but from what we're seeing, we're only seeing 65% of the project. There would be a dispute there. So no later than 60 days, I think that seems pretty, like Ron said, it's very standard, and there'd be a lot of back and forth before that, so it'd give the city plenty of time. Like, we'd get that bill. If we disputed it, we'd have some conversation back and forth. It'd give us time to figure out how we're gonna make that commitment.
Yeah, and I would just add, we can't expect them to manage our project, but as I've said to council, we've got 8 funding sources for this project. A lot of it's reimbursement grants. They're not upfront, like we just send you the money. And so it's gonna be a tricky project to manage, but it's ours to manage. So we'll do that as best we can.
And we're doing something similar with the water tank project. Like, we've got a reimbursement grant for that as well, and we're managing that pretty well. Happy to answer any more questions.
I don't have any more questions. Anyone else? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the Xylem SBR contract in the amount of $1,673,152 from funds as required, as presented by staff.
Or a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
God, you did it again.
Okay, so before we move on to item B, I missed a budget committee appointment. So that's under consent agenda, number 3C.
You actually did that as part of your consent agenda. So
Okay.
it was the only application we had. We just put it, so when you approved the consent agenda, you made the appointment.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, thank you. All right, so moving on to item 6B, 2025 Music on Main 3G agreements. We have a special event permit and a band agreement.
Yeah, so basically council directed us to go ahead and execute a contract with G3 to host the Music on Main again this year under the similar parameters as last year, where the city would pick out the band and we would refund the cost of the band. Last year, we had just the special events contract with them. We didn't really have a mechanism to give them money, but we did that. And so this year, we just added a second agreement that just allows us to give them the money for the cost of the band, just to keep everything, paperwork wise in order. So that's the 2 agreements. Triva has already reviewed and signed these. So we're ready to go if you're ready to go. And it's basically the same parameters. They're in charge of the event. We don't have any responsibility for the event, although we, do help promote it and things like that. And we pick out the band and reimburse for the cost of the band. And that's our responsibility. I believe
This action.
Mayor and I have been working on a band. And I think we have that all locked up early this year. So it's just a matter of approving the contract.
So the band, actually, we got a lot of positive feedback from the lap band we had last year. And I had a lot of community members reach out asking for them to come back. Technically, we tried to switch it up, but I think because of the response from the community, I went ahead and reached out to that same band again with Ron. So it will be the same band as last year.
Yeah, any questions if you have any?
Ask what band is it? Name of the band?
It's called the Shone Band, I believe. And they play the entire set. So it's one band for the entire set, which is what they did last year.
Yeah,
Shone
that
Slade,
sounds
sorry.
Originally, they were supposed to be the opening band last year, but our main band ended up having some health issues, and so they weren't able to. And they had agreed to work with us and to do a 4-hour set. That's actually really hard on vocal cords. So the fact that they were willing to do that was amazing, and the community just really, really liked them a lot.
And the fire district did agree to host a car show again this year, so it'll be a similar event, which turned out very well last year. So
Several people asked me about the car show.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are we gonna put up the tent this year or are we not doing the tent again?
It's a lot of work to put up that tent and nobody used it. So,
Yeah,
and
nobody used it because the year that we did, it was so far back. And I think
Yeah.
if we had moved it up further, it would have,
Then people behind can't see.
that's true. That's true.
yeah, so I'm not offering that.
Okay.
And if there's a need for something, we'll respond.
Under the special event permit, it says action, but I don't have an action listed to read.
Oh,
Move to approve it.
yeah,
To
I don't
approve it?
think I gave you a staff report. It's
That's
just,
okay.
it's just by a motion,
Resolution.
if council approves us to execute these special event permit and or the payment agreement will be fine.
Is there a motion to approve this?
I move to approve the special event permit with G3 and the band agreement with G3 as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to 6C, ODOT Carbon Reduction Program. Electric Light Duty Pickup Truck Grant. We have Matt presenting.
All right, Matt Etzel, Assistant Public Works Director. Before you are the federal subrecipient grant agreement for the carbon reduction grant with ODOT. This is for 2 new Public Works light duty electric vehicles. This agreement is basically the grant agreement. It's basically telling us the terms of the grant, how payments work. There is a line in there for ODOT to charge us about $5,000 for some administrative work. We talked with them on a Zoom call. We feel like that's kind of well worth the cost. With this being a federal grant, there's a lot of federal waivers that will have to be required because there's like an environmental report that needs to be done. And so they're going to handle all of that. And basically what we will do is submit a purchase order for 2 vehicles. And that with this agreement, they'll either agree or tell us that something needs to change with those. And then once they approve it, we can go ahead and purchase and get reimbursed for the vehicles. So we've done some preliminary quotes on those, and we're quite a bit under budget from what was originally applied for the grant. So yeah, I think we're looking really good on budget for this one, and it should be pretty straightforward and pretty easy for us to execute. Happy to answer any questions.
The only question I had is, do they need a special plug-in? Or are we just plugging them into the wall?
No, so we'll have to purchase a charger with our new public works facility. Part of the new electrical code is that there's a requirement for electric vehicle charging circuit. So we already have that. We just have to purchase the charger. That'll be part of our match. And we'll be able to purchase those chargers. I'm working with a vendor right now who's through residential, they can offer them almost for free if you buy the electric vehicle. But since we're buying it through a state contract, there might be a little bit of cost, but she's going to look into trying to get us the best deal on a charger for that too. That we would bring to council as a separate action to approve the charger, but it should be pretty minimal.
We may not bring that to council if the cost is.
Depending on if the cost is
Yeah.
minimal, yeah.
Pay for it out.
I have a friend who bought one. It was $240.
Yeah,
Okay,
So it's not much.
yeah.
all right.
We will get like the plug-in, from my understanding, I
It's a certain
don't
type
have
of-
one, but we'll get like all the gear. We'll basically just have to install a plug-in at the shop, but we'll get all that gear with the vehicle, so.
Awesome.
And you'll know for sure you're gonna get reimbursed from the feds before you purchase the trucks?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, so
I can
what,
see this going south.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
so what,
Carbon Reduction Act, a federal grant. I mean, I'm seeing like, I don't know, that's gonna go through.
yeah, so what we'll do is, I'll get the purchase order from the truck vendor. We've already specified what we want.
Ford Lightning,
and-
what are you doing?
Yeah,
Lightnings?
Ford Lightning is what we're trying to do. Northside Ford has a state contract with the state, so the procurement process is getting a price from them and then submitting that because they've already gone through the procurement process to secure those rates for the vehicles. And we'll submit that to ODOT. They'll approve the purchase and yeah, that's part of the agreement too, is that, you know, once we get approval from them, they're kind of on the hook now too.
Yeah, you
So,
have to see it by them and then,
yeah.
especially when you're rolling EcoBoost right now on your Fords.
Yeah, we have the
One
5
EcoBoost,
liter,
one-
yeah.
Oh, you have what,
Yeah,
5 Fords?
yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any further questions? Is there a
Nope.
motion? He said no, he doesn't have a question.
Oh, all right. All I heard was that no one said.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve the federal subrecipient grant agreement for purchase of equipment through the carbon reduction program as presented by staff.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, moving
Yeah, we'll get
on.
the test driving, right?
Moving on to 6D, police firearms purchase and trade-in estimates. We have Chief presenting tonight.
Good evening, council. Yeah, I'm Chief Damian Flowers with the Aumsville Police Department. And I'm here to just kind of give you an overview of the staff report that you guys have with you regarding the firearms that we're looking at. This is all in direct reflection of the assessment we got from CIS a couple years ago and the accreditation process that we're in right now. It's one of our projects to kind of clean stuff up at the PD. We have an overabundance amount of firearms that are in our evidence that we just need to get rid of. And most all of them are pursuant to law, signed by the judge to do what you got to do with them to get rid of them pursuant to law. I think the only change on your staff report is a couple of the firearms we found that were ordered by a judge to be destroyed. So those ones we will have to destroy. We can't let those ones get out. A lot of this is also due to storage of many, I think we have 80,000 rounds of 40 caliber ammo. And it's over 5 years old, and CIS recommended don't keep anything over 5 years. Go through it, get more, go through it, get more. Anyway, this is a way that we can get rid of some of that ammo. I've tried numerous attempts with different agencies and nobody's really going with the 40 anymore. They're pretty much 9mm. And that's one of the other reasons that we want to run the same weapon as some of these other agencies for safety risks also. Our handguns that we're using now, we got back in 1999, and they're just the wear and tear, the malfunctions that we're having. They're just starting to break down. We replace them as needed, obviously, but this gives us a chance to get rid of everything that we don't need and go with this newer equipment, updated, I can't remember, Hollison sights. I think I'm pronouncing that right. The accuracy of a 9mm is significantly better than the 40 caliber just due to the aggressive recoils. I'm happy to answer any other questions. I know you guys have all the information there in front of you. We went with 3 different places to contact that are reputable FFL dealers. One being Oregon Rifle Works, one being Greystone Tactical, and then the other Exact Edge Manufacturing. We're getting the best bang for our buck, no pun intended, for the Oregon Rifle Works due to the trade-in costs, and they were the only ones that got back to us with any value of what they would give us for the weapons that we have on hand. We reached out to the other companies a few times and we're not getting anything back. So that's the one that we wanted to go with anyway. And that's the one that we're presenting for you today. So I think I covered everything unless I got a list of benefits and stuff like that of why we want to do this. What's that?
I'll take your extra ammo.
We already worked it all out before you got here.
That's what happens when you come in late.
Yeah, the other 2, Greystone, nobody got back to you to buy all that ammo?
Nope.
Wow. And you'd still have to pay that 15%.
Yes, Greystone and Exact, we'd have to pay that 15% tax because they're not a blue label gun dealer or Glock dealer. We basically are exempt from the tax going through Oregon Rifle Works, so we get that 15%
And
credit.
he's just, is he going, is he?
He-
down, he's getting older?
I don't know if he's closing down. I just know that they're no longer a blue label dealer for Glock. And so it's just easier for us to stick with a blue label dealer for our purchases. But now that we've got this surplus, this gives us a chance to do a trade. And as you see in your paperwork, I think we're gonna have roughly a $2,000 credit for other stuff. So that's what we presented. Did you have anything else?
Yeah, I'd just add, council, typically, we wouldn't ask you to approve a surplus. That would be under my purview as surplus officer, but because we're dealing with evidence out of we've built up over many years and some of the, costs that are associated with some of the trade-in values, we wanted to make sure we brought it in front of you and let you review it, before we initiated that action. You could simply approve the purchases of the handgun with the accessories, but we're asking you to approve that through the trade-in. We get a little bit better value on the guns and we don't have to actually pay for anything out of pocket, so.
As you know, I'm huge for transparency, so I want you guys to have all the information. If anybody has any questions about this whatsoever, I want them to know that I gave everything that we had. So you guys got every little detail other than that one that I mentioned about the two that I have to destroy, that we can't put back out in the field, so. Well, now that Cavanta is, there's questions what's kind of happened with that. We do normally take everything to Cavanta and everything is incinerated, so. Worst case scenario, we might have to do some kind of recording and decommission it ourselves.
What they did in the military, they cut them in half.
That's all you do.
It's not exciting.
If there's no further questions, do we have a motion?
I move to approve the purchase of 10 Glock 47 9mm handguns, direct cut packages, Holson 509T laser sight, and holsters using surplus trade value through Oregon Rifle Works as presented by staff.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to 6E, Resolution 02-25, authorizing OPRDLGGP grant application for Eastside Park.
Yeah, thank you, council. So what this is staff would like to, has prepared and submitted a grant application for our Eastside Park. As council knows, that we had talked about phasing in some of the park amenities over time. It's a very expensive park to build out the master plan, so it will take many years for us to do that. There is a grant available we applied for. It does require a supporting resolution from the council. It would require about a $400,000 match from the city, and it's about a $1.4 million project. And so if we get it, we can decide if we want to accept it. What the grant proposal would be for would simply be a phase one parking area, driveway, some improved trails, and a set of restrooms. So it would be very basic amenities out there to begin, but you start with, parking and a few restrooms, and then you add to that. It's a fairly large ask through ORPD. It's the maximum that they can award, and typically, they get a lot of applications for that amount of money, but we continue to try to seek money where it's available and offered, and we've had a good success rate. And so if you support this, we'll add this to our grant application and keep moving forward.
Do I need to read this whole thing out?
You do not.
Okay.
It just basically, it was a simple
how
action.
to
You
do
just
it.
approve resolution 0225 supporting our RPD grant. Yep.
I met the Taggart individual the other day. So it borders his whole property.
Yeah.
Will he be annexed into the city, or his
No.
property will still remain county and the park will be city
It just the park would
He's
annex.
got
it.
big plans for a chip course, golf chip, something.
He
Are
does.
you aware of
He
That
does.
that?
sounds like a sidebar story
Never
that,
seen.
that we should.
That was not on any requests when we did the park, so the
Yeah.
answer is no.
Because
I can tell
the
you.
walking path's gonna go around his entire, like right up between his house and the property line is.
Well, the walking path that we're proposing is just around the parking area.
Okay,
at this point. There's thousands of miles of walking trails in the master plan, or sorry, thousands of feet of walking
It's like
trails.
miles.
Uh,
I was
thousands of-
I was trying to
thousands
imagine
of
that.
feet.
There
I
might
think
be-
we're proposing like 2,000 linear feet of walking trails, and there's probably, 60,000 linear
Well, you
feet.
tell me, I was there for probably 2 hours.
Yeah.
I was there for some other business, painting business, and then this came up.
Yeah. There is an annexation application process that we're doing on I believe it's May 15th. It'll go in front of the planning commission, then it will come to council. It's initiated by you because your initiative is to annex the park. And so we're in that process right now. It's in the county. We successfully did that. You now have to actually annex it into the city limits before we can construct anything. And so that's a separate action, probably the reason why
Of course.
he's talking about it.
The golfing.
I mean,
Course.
if they want to mow
Probably know
some,
what that
if they
is.
want to mow some grass out there in the middle and create I mean, I don't care at this point, but.
People will be excited to have it though, because they've been asking what will be the first thing and when.
Yeah.
So,
Is there an
I
action?
would love to make a recommendation that we pass resolution number 0225, a resolution authorizing and supporting the city of Aumsville application for Oregon Parks and Recreation Department's large grant for East Side Park Development Phase 1 and delegating authority to the city administrator to sign this application.
I would second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Right, moving on to number 7, city administrator report. Ron,
Okay, well, I have a fairly lengthy report. I am going to try to jump through this as quickly as possible. So
Let me
if
get
I skip things that you're interested in at the end and you would like to revisit or ask questions, please jump in there. I'm just going to highlight the Corn Festival planning is proceeding as expected. We've got a formula and it's working and we're continuing to work with it. Doing well on sponsors thus far. The new reservoir is up and operating now. It's actually in service. And we fairly have pretty much closed out the project. There's a couple of small punch list items, but for all intents and purposes, we've exhausted our grant funds and paid the vendor, the contractor, all their money. I'm going to skip now to another section of my report that's relevant to this, and that is this staff report that Matt presented to you about the million gallon reservoir. That's the old reservoir. So while the new reservoir was up running and everything was doing great, we decided to go ahead and do a comprehensive inspection on the old reservoir. Now, we've done camera inspections on the old reservoir while it had water in it, but we were never able to actually drain it. And so we had a company come out and do an analysis, and that report is in your packet. There are some things that we didn't expect in this report, but all in all, based on their estimates, it's actually much better than I expected. I think we'll be coming forward with some more detailed discussions, but we're probably looking to prioritize the internal rehabilitation of the tank in maybe a phase 1, and then we can do some external rehabilitation ourselves to get by a couple of years and then maybe follow that up with a later project. What this doesn't include in the report, I think, was cost related to seismic retrofit. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing in here on that.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah, they can't hear you on Zoom if you talk
Yeah.
to the back of the room.
So otherwise, as far as all of the pitting, the coating of the inside, there's some recommendations in here. There is a recommendation to do some work inside. Unless we were able to receive a grant, we'd probably forego. Like, if you look at the pictures, there's some internal struts. I'm gonna see if I can find yes, It's
It's on the roof. It's on the roof. There's some I-beams that go across the roof.
page 14 of 17.
Those were never connected. That was the design back in the day.
So they're connected to the ends, but not to the roof. And so what happens is you could get rusting in between those two pieces. That's a fairly expensive retrofit. If we end up paying for this out of like water improvement funds, we probably wouldn't recommend that at this point. If we're able to get a grant, we might, it would be better if we could do that. Basically, we just wanted you to have this comprehensive report to understand the project and to know that we're gonna probably come back in one of our work sessions and talk a little bit more detail about getting this listed as one of the city's, next capital improvement projects at some point.
So it doesn't include seismic upgrades, and the other thing that it doesn't include is construction services costs, which would be fairly high. If you remember when we bid the original tank project, the welded steel and the bolted steel tank, it was about $150,000 to have a certified paint inspector on site to make sure the coating's applied correctly. Our engineer had another city that chose not to do that, and it failed after 3 years, and they're replacing. So we think it's pretty important that's added. Roughly, and there would also be a fairly large contingency with this project if we put it out to bid, because once you start removing that coating, you don't know what's behind the coating. You may have some additional pitting that you're not aware of, and you may have to make some welding repairs or something like that. And so there would be a fairly large contingency with this project, because you just don't know until you get in the tank and start sandblasting that coating away.
Talk about a job.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
above
cut a
ground?
hole inside of the tank, go in.
Yeah, they said they'd cut a hole to go for
Yeah.
access.
Yeah.
There's no lead. They keep mentioning lead, but there's no way there's any lead in any of that inside or out.
Not
It's built
in-
82
Not
82,
inside, no.
or even outside. I wouldn't even think.
Yeah, I
I'm not
know
sure.
there's some question
7
about
days
the
got a
elevated
magic number.
The
tank,
elevated tank, yes.
Oh, the elevated
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
yeah.
but
And so where do they come up with these estimates? They're also a
Engineer
coating
estimates,
company? They
yeah.
just kind of,
yeah, the company that did the inspection, they are a corrosion specialist. So they build like the corrosion systems for inside the tank. They did the one for our new tank.
okay.
And so we had some extra room in the budget in the construction services, so we brought them out to do this inspection. So they're seeing those costs in different
So
projects.
they know about it?
Yeah.
Counselor Lee, did you have a question?
Yeah, is this an above ground tank?
This is,
Yeah.
yes, this is our above ground million gallon, our
It's-
old million gallon reservoir.
Where is that located?
Right next to the new one,
Okay.
the blue, big blue one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not.
we've known,
It's the one we talked about and kind of walked around to see the new one.
I wasn't there.
Okay.
we've
Yeah,
known
but
that
we
That's
this
right.
was-
talked about some of the repairs when we were there,
Gotcha.
so.
we've known
Thank
that
you.
this was a necessity to get this tank rehabilitated, but we couldn't do it until we built the new one, because we couldn't take it offline.
Yeah.
That was a big driver for that project, was additional storage, and then how do we maintenance it if we don't
Would you
have
have to
that
do this
capacity?
repair during winter? Make it more feasible to have that empty? They're saying whatever, 7 to 14 days, whatever it says in here, I think it'd take longer than that, but that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Been in
probably
the
wouldn't
trade.
necessarily have to have it done in the winter, but we probably wouldn't do it in the July, August range either. So we'd probably do it on some end of that spectrum.
Talking you tent the
Yeah,
whole thing
sure.
off.
Yeah, and kind of those shoulder seasons, kind of like in the spring or late fall. I think,
Yeah.
think in one part it says maybe like 4 to 4 months or something like that it was an estimate. And again, the certain temperatures you want so that it's not sweating and that coating can be applied in the most.
So for now, Matt has to go up there and pressure wash the roof of that
Yeah.
thing? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
We're
That one's
probably,
not as tall as the other one.
No, it's
pretty
pretty
dang
tall,
It's
yeah.
pretty tall.
yeah, we're probably gonna do just some external,
Just touch up and
touch
wash
up
it.
and repair, clean it up. Grind down some of the rust on the external and just kind of touch that part up.
See
The internal
inside.
part where the water sits and you're getting that pitting, that's really more critical that we do something with that. So that would be our priority recommendation. to
With
start with
description
that.
of walking on it and you can hear the blisters popping and, I mean, I'd look at that and just run.
Yeah.
If it
So
was the
it is
bid I
something-
was doing, I would just run.
It is something that we think we need to take care of sooner rather than later. So I just wanted you to see the report. We wanted to explain enough of it so you could read it and digest it. And then we'll come back for a more in-depth.
And one thing they mentioned to me, and I'm sure council's aware of this, but the longer you wait on something like this, the more expensive it's gonna be, obviously because of inflation, but also because you're just compounding those areas where it has failed. They're just getting bigger and bigger over time.
Where the
So-
loose paint, does that end up like in our filters, the chunks that float around in there and then they get caught up in the filtration?
Paint's on the outside.
The inside's painted too, and it's peeling.
No, it's just got a coating.
That coating,
It's
would
obviously
be
coming
caught.
off, right? So it just
Yeah.
gets caught in the filter.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's workable. All our water runs through our sand filtration system, so it's not an issue with that, but it is something we need to work on and we need to get, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to our budget session. I've outlined, most of you on the budget committee have seen this schedule. I will do the outreach to the community budget workshop. Any new members can come in and ask questions about the budget process. And existing members are welcome to come as well, but you're not required. So we'll do that community outreach. It just gives the community an opportunity to come in and ask more in-depth questions so that when we actually get to the business meeting for the budget, we can run through it through our normal process. That will be my plan, where we'll be continuing the same budget process that we typically do, where we'll really be analyzing just changes to the budget and not necessarily all of the historical allocations. I'm hoping to get it done in one meeting, but we have a schedule if it goes over one meeting, and that's what's outlined here. Under state law, we have to outline a budget schedule. Even if we don't end up using all of the meeting dates, we have to advertise those. And so that's why you've gotten that schedule. The city completed its audit this year. Audits have been a little bit tough for cities because the number of licensed auditors to do government auditing is dwindling because a lot of them are aging out and retiring. And there's not as many that are replacing the auditor, those historical auditors. This last year, there were a lot of mergers of audit firms, which created an influx of resources, but the mergers happened right in the middle of audit season. So it kind of disrupted the schedule a little bit, but our audit is complete. It is filed with the state. We did receive an audit finding of no deficiencies. And so another good audit for us this year. I didn't print everybody out an audit book. I think we sent that to you electronically, but there is a printed copy at City Hall if you want to go through the paper version. I just didn't want to waste, a couple thousand pieces of paper if I didn't have to. I think you guys all received our benchmark report. You all got that packet, I believe. We try to do this at least once a quarter for you so that you can see our performance. And as you can see, as we have been working through this, our fiscal policies, we continue to maintain a good balance here. Our revenues are slightly above our projection, which is where we try to be. So the forecast model is, doing its thing. And our expenses are below our projections. So again, we're kind of sticking to that fiscal responsibility. So we're on track to have a good ending year without any other surprises. So that's for you to digest. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me about. There's a few line items that you'll see that are above the benchmark. Those are things like insurance payments that we have to pay in one lump sum. Most of it, if you look at our overall for each fund, the expenditures are well below. our benchmarks. So we're doing good there. Our other projects that we've got in the hopper that are moving forward, Sixth Street improvements. I think we got the easements signed the other day. I believe there was a pre-construction meeting, so that's getting ready to take off. Heiberger Park upgrades. We received a grant last year. We're getting ready to go out for an RFP for restrooms. And then we're going to do some playground equipment. I know somebody posted about some toddler equipment. We actually plan to install some toddler equipment there at the new Heiberger Park. Obviously, we can't put amenities in every park for every need, but we do try to circulate those around the city so they're available somewhere, you know, in the city. Our sensory music equipment project, that'll probably come back to council for approval to get ordered at the next council meeting. We've got, I think, most of the bids in. And so we're continuing to work on that.
That would have gone, the sensory is in.
The music equipment in Porter Boone, yes.
In Porter Boone, okay.
Yeah, yeah. They call it sensory. It's funny, somebody approached me about maybe donating to some sensory equipment, which may be different, but it's, you know, it's not only just good for developmental, you know, just young children to enjoy, but it's also good for people that have, you know, vision impaired, autism, those types of things. So, you know, they're great pieces of equipment to have as part of our overall park amenities.
Are we ever gonna get the handicapped swing, the wheelchair swing back up? I know there were some issues, safety concerns with it.
I don't know, that the ADA swing. It really became a nightmare.
Okay.
Teenagers apparently just thought that was the best thing.
Was it a swing with hooks on it or some sort?
It was a ramp, you could wheel a wheelchair into and then close the sides, and then someone can push someone on the wheelchair, and it just, we were constantly there. Didn't see a lot of use, I'm not saying.
We might look for a different kind of amenity than that particular one. Also, they were doing some things that created some liability.
I know there were some safety concerns. I remember that. I think the safety concerns were like this.
We didn't think about that going into that little piece of equipment. It wasn't grossly expensive. We just wanted to offer it, but we may look at something that maybe with the eye of how it was used. I didn't put on here, but I think we're getting ready to start our fuel tank project out at Public Works as well. We also have, I believe we were approached by the county to update our emergency management plan. I think we're working on that. We just signed a MOU with them for that, I believe. Chief's working on that. So we've got lots of stuff going on in the city. Pacific Corp has an LED project. I just wanted to bring this up to your attention. It's kind of a half grant, half pay, where we would pay a certain amount to get lights changed out to LEDs in the city. Public Works and I and staff kind of roundtabled this. And it's not really on our scope, and the return on investment is fairly lengthy, and we just don't know if it jumps to a priority list to recommend. But I didn't want you to hear about the program that other cities might be doing and say, well, why didn't we do that? So I wanted you to know about it. So I put it in the staff report. And I think there might be, was there some documentation here too with that? Or basically it would, their estimates is it would save us about $6,000 a year. So we'd recoup our cost after 7 years. We're replacing LED lights gradually through the city, and we think maybe there'd be a better opportunity later to do that. But if you have a different opinion, you feel strongly about it, we certainly can open that conversation. It's not too late. But I wanted you to know about it. And then the other thing, the Marion County Radio Project, I just wanted you to have this on your horizon because behind the scenes, it's been causing some conflict. I don't know that this will jump up and get on your radar screen or not, but we've been dealing with a lot of stuff with Metcom, which is our dispatch agency, and the players that are all part of Metcom. And Marion
was actually
County
brought up.
decided to kind of initiate their own radio upgrade project. And their expectation is because they're such a large entity that all the smaller jurisdictions would just be forced to join them. A lot of the smaller jurisdictions haven't wanted to do that. And so it's kind of behind the scenes caused a little bit of controversy. We don't have a recommendation as of today to bring to you to recommend one way or the other. We're still in the understanding what the cause and effect of either joining that system or staying on our own system might be. And those opinions may change as time goes on. But right now it's hard for us to make any type of a recommendation. And we just upgraded our radios this last year. So we have all new radios on a different frequency that can't be tuned to this new 800 megahertz frequency.
This was briefly discussed at the Marion County, well, it used to be breakfast, but it was
Yeah.
lunch.
So I just wanted you to know about that in case somebody contacted you. Just know that, your staff is doing the stuff that they need to do behind the scenes. We don't really have a recommendation. It wasn't on our radar screen. It's initiated by a larger entity, and it may make sense. Ultimately, we may do an analysis that says we've got to do it, but we don't want to just jump into that without doing the analysis. So that's where we are. See, I wanted to come back with council because the April 14th. So the next meeting, I believe we are going to come forward with our utility rate resolution for the upcoming year because we need to get it implemented for June 1st. And there's a couple of things I wanted to discuss. One of the things that we talked about with council is trying to figure out a way not to spread additional costs to ratepayers. And one of the concepts that came up that we discussed was phasing out the senior discount program. And so I had to do some legal review with our city attorneys to make sure that that was something that we could do. And some of the things that council talked about could be done as well. One thing that I uncovered doing this process is we do have in our water ordinance 679, a section that says council has established a senior discount program and that council sets the rate by resolution. That rate could be 0 if that's where you set it. So under our legal analysis, you could just simply set the rate at nothing if you wanted to eliminate the senior discount program altogether. There's nothing in the sewer ordinance that offers a senior discount program, even though we've been giving a senior discount program in sewer. And my thought was maybe there was something embedded in an earlier ordinance years ago, and it just never got into a new ordinance, but we're not obligated to offer any type of senior discount in a sewer. So just for background information for you, a simple resolution, which would be the rate resolution that we're bringing forward, you could set those numbers wherever you want. Now, one of the things that has maybe happened unanticipated is we've set those discounts at a percentage of the rates and not at a set dollar amount. And so those discounts have been escalating every time we raise the rates. The discount portion gets a little bit larger. And so, where we may have started that off at $1 amount there.
But it's a percentage,
It's a
right? So it's
percentage,
still gonna have the
yes.
same impact across the board.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, so there's a number of options there for us. Council indicated that what they'd like to do is they'd like to eliminate the program through attrition, meaning not to offer that to any new customers under the senior discount, just keep existing customers on the account and then not offer it to any going forward. And then over time, the program just vanishes. We may want to set the discount rate at a set dollar amount as well, so that it's not escalating, because otherwise, if we add this large $36 increase, the senior discount is going to increase by a large amount, and all of that is dedicated to debt. And so you're basically going to further add more cost to those other ratepayers if we don't set it like that. So I need some direction from council is what they'd like to see. I think our recommendation is to go ahead and not connect any new customers, and we would do that as part of the resolution. We would go ahead and bring an amended ordinance back to council for the water side that would basically say council's discontinued the program moving forward. And then we'd recommend setting that discount rate at a set dollar amount. Today, the senior discount program adds about $5 to every utility account in the city. And so if you offer a discount program, everybody else has to pay for it. So that's really the balance when doing that. And so I needed some discussion and direction from you on how we should structure that utility rate fee resolution. And from my perspective, if you end the program and then allow it to work its way through the system through attrition, meaning you're not taking anything necessarily away from people that are on the program. You know, right now they're getting about $16 discount. You could set that at just a set dollar amount. You could set it at $10 or $15. But I think we need a set dollar amount. Otherwise, like I said, we're going to see they're going to get a 20% discount on the $36, which is then got to be paid by 75% of our community.
So like one direction could be like, if the maximum is 16, right? Whatever that discount is, right? So, we just don't take any new applicants for the senior discount after we raise the utility bill. And then we do like, well, no more, right? No more coming in. But whatever the highest amount is, keep that. Like it doesn't say what our highest amount, like the report doesn't tell us how many people it's impacting, which like I would like to know how many people
25% of our community.
that are on that 25% of our hookups are on senior discount rate.
That's correct.
Okay.
And you're having $16.
It's $16 and some change. Yes.
So if we made it,
I think it's more than that.
Per water, per sewer, I think. Can you look up our senior rate? We'll get you the rate right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's water.
120.50 for the normal. That's about $24.
It's grown a lot larger, I think, than was expected when we implemented the program. I think at the time they were thinking of the, when it implemented.
I mean, the
maybe
amount has
$10.
grown because the price has gone up to provide services, but the percentage impact has been the same across the board. Does that make sense? 10% of $1 is still 10% of like $100. It's still 10%.
It's been a
Like,
percentage.
Yeah, it's been a
The
percentage.
discount's
Yeah.
been a percentage, which the number has escalated. But.
Yeah.
But
But it's still the percentage is what I'm saying. It's still the
So
percentage.
it does the same for them,
Yeah.
but.
There you go. There's your. Yeah, so, yeah, it's around,
Everybody else eats up the difference of that.
yes. Josh did some
What-
calculations. He figured it was around $5 per
It's the same
utility
thing when you get a
customer.
grant for electric trucks, we all pay for it.
I think Doug
right?
online
You
has a
give out
comment.
money, you give out money, everybody pays for the difference. There's no free
Yeah.
money.
Doug, go ahead.
I just can't see what's up there. I can't, it's not showing me what's up there.
It says base residential includes 700 gallons of water used, 7,000 gallons. Apparently I can't even read what it's up close. For $120.50. Senior residential includes 7,000 gallons of water use at $96.29. Consumption charge is $4.69.
That's per 1,000 gallons
1,000 gallons,
over
yeah.
the 7,000.
So the difference between non-senior discount and everyone else, $120.50, and the seniors are paying $96.29.
So it's 24.21 a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if we
So
decided
what's the
just to do,
$5 that you were saying? I'm confused about that.
Can you repeat that? I didn't.
Say that again, you cut out.
What was the $5? You were saying something about a $5.
So the impact to non-seniors is about $5. So for us to provide this percentage discount
Okay,
to
gotcha.
seniors, yeah.
and that would continue to go up. So if we just like made a flat rate of $10, you're gonna offer these seniors, are you gonna implement this right when their rate goes up too? So they're gonna get hit and then hit?
Well, everybody's getting.
Everyone is gonna get
Everybody's
hit.
gonna get
Yeah.
hit, but we don't have a discount that we're moving from ours.
So like one thing is like we could just get rid of the discount completely and everyone's rate is going to go up, including seniors. Or what we talked about in our previous meetings is just keeping those that we have on this program grandfathered in,
Yeah.
but not to exceed $25, right? Or 24, whatever the thing is right now.
We didn't.
No, but that's just one.
We didn't
recommendation.
talk about, we just talked about not continuing the discount moving forward, meaning their discount wouldn't change
Mhm.
moving forward. But in my mind, I think we have to actually memorialize that at a dollar amount. I would recommend just setting the senior discount at an even $20. And then doing the increases. That's close to what it is now, and it's a set dollar amount. If you wanted to set it at 25, that's your prerogative. You could set it lower, you could set it higher. It's really up to you, but I think I would just do a flat amount.
Anybody here?
So the
get senior
discount would be
discounts?
$20.
Well, that's one recommendation.
Are
That's
you
the
guys allowed
recommendation.
to vote on this?
I mean,
Could be.
this is why we're talking about it right
Right.
now.
Right.
It's not like an
Nothing, right,
action
yeah,
vote,
right.
so he just needs direction.
I just need direction.
And so
I have to
it
write
would-
the resolution.
Right?
Yeah, it would be consensus for direction and then the resolution would come before the council and then we would vote.
But you have the authority to really do whatever you want with this program. Just because the way that the ordinances are worded.
And-
We would bring an updated ordinance forward just so that we cleaned it up and there wasn't question, but city attorney said you could do it
Then what would
either.
the communication outreach to the impacted look like? Do we have a plan for that? Because if someone is receiving a approximately $24 discount, and we're gonna reach out to 25% or 20% of the community on hookups to let them know that they're gonna be grandfathered in, but they're gonna be grandfathered in at a lesser discount
Yeah,
than they're
we're
used
just gonna
to.
send all those seniors a letter that basically says their discount is gonna be locked in. But the council's gonna discontinue the program moving forward. That's basically what we would have time for an outreach for. But remember with the senior discount program, it's not based on, I mean, somebody could have $50,000 a
Yeah.
month coming in income. It's not based on that. The criteria is simply that you're
It's
over.
based on age, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
based on income. Yeah.
Are there not other senior programs that could help? I'm sorry, Greg.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Are there not other senior programs that can help with utilities that are based on income that they could reach out and get if we were to just discontinue it altogether?
There are other programs in the community, yes, like Saniam Integrated Services works with people with utility bills. So there are other programs available.
I don't know that there's something that does it like your rent reduction or anything. No, it would
Yeah.
just be assistance if they couldn't pay the bill.
It's like case by case. So it wouldn't be like every month they can go and get a discount. It would be like someone who has a disconnection notice and they can't pay their water bill, then they would reach out and apply for services.
Right. And so in addition to that, is there somebody that we can verify that the person who actually applied for the discount at that residence is still at that residence? And that residence is still qualified? Do we ever check?
Well,
That's a good point.
the person that applies for it has to come in to us in person. So when they apply for a senior discount, they have to come into us in person. We verify their driver's license that they are the person, but there's no way for us to connect that person to that address. You know what I mean? I mean, once they come in and they get on the discount program, let's say they're a renter, as an example, the only way we know that they've left that address is if the renting company came in and switched it into another person's name. Could there be people that have signed up and then, maybe they left and their kids moved in or they rented it to somebody else?
Like I let my mom move in with me and
yeah.
tell the water bill's in her name and she gets the discount.
I mean, I'm sure that there's some
And then
of that going on, Doug, but we really don't have a mechanism to audit every person on a senior discount
Senior
program,
task
nor
force,
was it really
you could go around and-
intended. They sign a thing saying that they qualify, and that's the level we make sure that they're of age, and that's really the level that we use to approve the program.
I understand why we need to. I understand why we need to make changes, but it feels really shitty.
Yeah.
I just want to say
Yeah.
that.
I agree.
I agree 100%. You work your entire life and you're on a fixed income and now we're going to strip you from your
Yeah.
senior discount.
And raise your
No,
bill at
I'm-
the same time.
And raise your bill at the same. So that's what I mean, like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like people that
Well,
are,
most senior discounts aren't this robust. So
It doesn't
I mean,
matter.
yeah, most senior
Ron.
discounts are like 10% or 5%, or like.
Yeah.
Because.
Well, we
you-
know we
you-
need to audit it.
You think about people that retired. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Doug.
I said, we know that we need to audit you now because of your suggestion, but everybody else.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah,
audit me.
we're gonna send the task force right over to her place.
Yeah.
Her mom has to pretend like she's living there.
I think eliminating the program through attrition is a good way to address that.
I disagree.
To phase it out.
You work your entire life and you're on a fixed income and now all of a sudden you don't get any benefits of being a senior citizen.
Life choices. I worked my entire life. I gotta work till I'm dead. I got
Yeah.
retirement. I chose a walk of life, I get it, but I get what you're saying.
And people that retired, they retired based on, 30 years ago, they hoped to retire with 70% of their income from 30 years ago. Not at today's income. So unless you're a tier 1 state employee,
Which they hardly exist anymore.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. I'm just saying, like, I understand, and I know that we need to look at this, like, I get it, but it feels really horrible. It feels
Yeah.
really horrible. Go ahead,
As
Katie.
a senior, I can say, and who's getting that discount, I was really surprised that it was even offered to me but that would be putting, if it was just gone, that's then putting my water sewer at, what, $55?
Yeah.
A month rather than just 36. I think that just by leaving it to sunset now and those who do move in, I mean, they're grandfathered in that have it, but I would say even just $15 or $20 would be a nice discount to get if we wanted to do that. I would hate to be
Do it at the same
For
time.
seniors,
It's
we
tough.
hit like.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you have a good point. Like, so the water bill is gonna go up $36. And then if we make the maximum 20, our seniors are actually having like yeah, they're having
More
that
of an increase.
extra. So that's why I was
You-
asking what's the max approximately, it's like $24, right? So,
Well, it's wherever you set it.
no,
it's-
I mean, right now, like, what
Oh,
is it right
yeah,
now? About
It
20
looks like $24. Yeah.
I would I don't want to make the recommendation. I would make the suggestion of sunsetting and not taking on anymore because we do have a big impact to the computer, but I would like to keep it at $24. You guys,
Not gonna affect any of us. We're still gonna pay the extra
Yeah,
5 or whatever it is on
I-
average, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually that'll get better and better. As
we just won't be
Yeah.
taking on any new
Not-
people.
I can support that.
Okay,
I mean, I don't like to support it, but I think that's probably our best
Okay.
option.
we'll keep in
We have to-
mind,
They're not taking anything from them, you're leaving it. But now you're giving people that have a lower discount than that more, right? More of a discount if you set it at higher than what? The 25 is the highest? right
no,
now?
I don't think nobody has a lower. It's just you either qualify the discount or you don't. So that's just the discount.
Unless you can think of
It's-
something different,
It's
Scott.
just the
that's-
2 levels, period.
No, yeah.
Know about it, they come to Aumsville, don't get that option.
Mhm.
She was surprised about it. It was a nice little, we just want.
And then we'll be able to vote on it. And if you guys still are like, no, this is horrible, you can always vote no. I encourage you guys, if you hate something, vote no, right?
Yeah.
You're not taking anything away from anybody though, so it's not that low. It's not offering it in the future. Might be a senior that says, no, I ain't doing Aumsville."
And really,
That's who you are.
I just, so remember, this was kind of a council, initiative when we were talking about how to equalize payments for utility customers. And there was discussion about, well, a senior may be making more money than somebody in a low income, but
I
the
think
low
that's
income
the
doesn't
biggest
get the
problem is there's just
discount.
no way to verify if
There's
the
no way to really
individual is still there or
verify.
has passed or needs to move on. There's no way to verify income. But Scott is right. Part of
Offering a senior, offering a
Part
senior,
of-
shouldn't matter how they.
being a senior is having that extra respect and graces that you've earned in life. And
Yeah.
I don't want to diminish that.
I think regardless of what we do, even if you kept the senior program moving forward, my recommendation was be to set a number and not a percentage because in either case, that percentage is it's aspirating over time and it's putting more and more burden on the rest of the community.
What would the burden look like if we just kept it at $24 and just kept the program?
It's $5 right now, but that's gonna go up.
So the burden would be more if we kept it at just a minimum $25 and just kept the program.
Yes, because more and more people are gonna qualify for the program.
Well, can we require income verification moving forward on any new people? Show a social security statement or show a tax return or something?
That's,
Social
That-
Security statement only says what you get from Social Security, not what you get from retirement or hers or anything else.
Yeah, and
That
that
defeats a senior
gets.
discount, that's a low
that-
income.
Yeah, that's
it
low
gets-
income.
It gets really tricky to try to do some sort of income verification. I think it just is easy to just cap the project, cap the,
I would
the
add to
discount.
that,
Well, that's,
having the conversation with people at the front desk. To qualify for the discount, you have to be 65 or older, be retired and be head of household. So like, if you live with your son and that your son still works and you're 65, you don't qualify for that discount if your son is still working and he's the head of household. So in having that conversation, it does, some people are like, oh, I don't qualify then. People are pretty honest about it. So the amount of work it would require to verify income, I truly don't think would be worth it. It would cause so much more labor than it would save us, I think.
Well, we're not talking about saving us. We're talking about saving them if they really need the discount. That's the question if we eliminate.
Right, but I'm saying by going through the process of verifying income, if the point in doing that is to save us in what we would lose by giving out that discount to somebody who doesn't qualify, the amount of time it takes to verify that income, I think, negates that.
So if you already have a situation where you have to prove head of household and being fixed income,
They don't prove that.
They
No.
just certify.
All
it.
they do,
Retired.
all they do is.
And head of household.
So they're probably not low
Yeah.
income.
So,
if you already
so
have
hold on a
that-
second, council. There's a misunderstanding. They do not prove that. They just sign the form that checks that box. So they're just saying that they're the head of the household. They're just saying that they're retired. They're just saying that they have no other income. We don't have any way to verify that.
So there's no way to prove it.
Well, they could show their last income tax statement that shows all of their.
Oh, I don't want to dig deep into
Yeah.
that.
If we really want to try to give a discount to people moving forward, we're gonna have to come up with some way, I think, to really prove that they need it. Otherwise, we would just have to stop it.
I know that when we had our, when we have COVID, I had donated my stipend back to, how do you say? A fund
Mhm.
to help people who couldn't pay their water bills. Is there some sort of thing that we could do to have that? Like, I don't take my stipend now, but I'm willing to donate it back to.
Yeah. We did that during COVID, but I'll be honest with you, I think that's a difficult thing for us to administer because there's a lot of people that would rather not pay their water bill. And if we had a system set up, they would just try to rely on us to do that. What we've done, we did that through COVID as kind of a temporary thing, but what we do is we rely on service organizations that have a better ability in managing that. And it doesn't come from us, it comes from somebody outside.
Like sit.
So like the sit. So that's one of the nice things about the money that we award to the sit to be able to provide services. A lot of that does come back through
Yeah.
helping somebody with a utility bill. The local churches can assist, and oftentimes they do with utility bills. But as the utility purveyor, we're not really set up to do that. We're a very small entity, and there are larger purveyors that have revenue-based programs and things like that. It would just be, for us, the size that we are and the amount of staff we have, it would be cost prohibitive.
And SIT does there's things like demographically, regionally. So like the funds that we contribute, they should be going back to the region of our town.
Yeah.
Right. So like somebody that is in our area that needs help with water or a pair of sunglasses, or maybe they make $20 too much and they don't get any food stamps and they already went to go get a food box. Right.
Yeah.
So, but it helps those in our demographic region. So
And just for me, this is before you tonight because I did get direction from the council. I did do the due diligence, but now I have to write the resolution. And I knew it was going to be an issue for you guys to deal with. So I just need direction.
did you guys like the suggestion that I said?
Customers.
Current rate, it sounded like we should, was current rate
Whatever the-
discount.
Current rate discount.
Yep.
I say we move forward with it as we talked about, and if those of us that don't agree with it, then they don't vote for it and see what happens.
So where did we leave this?
Sunset and 25 was what Angie had suggested that most people said they could agree with.
Yes.
So sunsetting, not taking any more new,
Okay,
but
And-
keeping it at 20 or 20.
24, 21.
Yeah, whatever the
Whatever
amount
the
is right
current
now.
rate
And you
is.
implement it at the same exact time as the increase.
and it won't be a percentage, it'd be a set amount.
It would be whatever the amount is right now, which is 24, 21.
Okay, all right. You will have the ability to
For
change
making
it.
my day even crappier. than it is.
But I didn't want to do all that work and then have to come back. Okay. Let's see, what else? Police report is in your packet. I did cover the park annexation earlier. Our chief was the keynote speaker at the academy. I wasn't there. I was on vacation, I think, but he did a good job.
I felt bad. I wanted to be there, but like, we're bargaining. I couldn't be there.
The Public Works report is in your packet. I don't see anything outstanding there. I do know Zipley has been in town doing some upgrades. There's been lots of engagement with the community on different aspects of their project, but I think Public Works has been managing that as well as they possibly could.
There's some confusion with that being Comcast. I'm reading on social media that
I
people
think
think
so.
it's Comcast.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're not. I'm digging through
Yeah.
neighborhoods now, setting up each house, right?
Yeah, I think there is
What's
confusion.
Zipley? That's not Visor, right?
No, that's a different company.
Police out of Silverton.
And then you do internet and stuff.
All
They're
right,
the ones putting it in Aumsville now.
I think that is it for my report. Unless you have follow-up questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Yep.
Bridge replacement, I did put this in your, you've had notice of this. This has been going on for a while. We're not really happy where the roadblocks are.
I thought we were gonna reach out or.
We are working, we're working on that. I just wanted you to know that we're trying to work with Marion County on that to see if we can get something changed there.
Where do we want to push it back, like right up to the bridge? Is that what we want to do?
Well, that's what I think, because I think it blocks off our parks. And then if people feel like they can go around the blocks to use their park, what are good are the roadblocks? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The county's initiative for putting them there was there's really no place for a semi to turn around once they get past 11th Street. And they didn't want to have a lot of trucks down there stuck. And then, and I understand that. I think there's alternatives to that. I think we could just signage it.
We can make a sign that says park access only, no trucks.
Well, that's basically
There's
what it
already
says
that
right
order.
now, but the roadblocks are
But yeah. but-
right there,
say-
so.
Stop unless you're
That's gonna
turning
get
left.
even more difficult with the summer program coming too.
Yeah, well,
It's going to the end of November.
well, there's pictures on Facebook and they've got
They're
that
doing
whole
the bridge
area.
replacement and then they're doing a road
Well, I know they're doing the bridge
realignment
replacement. It brings me-
and road
And a road
realignment that starts
realignment.
after the bridge
Yeah.
is done.
Think it's acceptable time. You like that, Della? 8
Right in
months?
this middle of summer.
8 months?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they'll get done early and be
No.
everybody's hero. We'll see.
It seems ridiculous to me,
Yeah,
but whatever.
But, if the residents want to complain about it, there's a contact number here.
Well,
Yep.
there was somebody was contacting the police, right? Because they say they're going straight. They don't have to stop, of course. And you have to stop off of
It's still a stop sign.
11th, right?
No, I
Yeah.
think we should change that stop signage right there. So when you're coming off 11th on the main street, you don't have to stop.
That's what the
And
complaint was
if
about.
you're going.
That's what the
if you're
complaint
going towards
was.
the Park, you have to stop. Because there is a detour sign right there. That's my
That's
suggestion.
valid.
So if you pull me
Valid.
over, that's why.
Oh, wow.
interjurisdictional, but anyway, we are trying to work through that. So just FYI. We do have an executive session scheduled.
I do
and-
have a reminder, tomorrow our SEE, if you haven't filed, are due
Already did mine.
for ethics.
Mhm. And if you went on and either attended or watched that ethics video, I think you just have to say that you've done that.
Yeah, I need to file mine. I'm guilty. I gotta do it by tomorrow.
Okay, well.
That's why I reminded
It's
people.
like the senior thing. It's the honor system. We can just
Yeah.
say we watched the video. Is that what it's-
Well, I think that's what it is. I think it is kind of an honor system, but,
I had a question about this invite that's on our desk. It says you're invited to Cascade FFA banquet and plant sale. The banquet, are those tickets that we have to buy?
it's a fundraiser for FFA,
Okay.
but we wanted to include it in your packet. Yes.
Okay,
Plant sale's also a fundraiser. If
Yeah.
you just want to do that.
I think if I buy any more plants, my family's gonna kill me.
All right. So what I would ask is that we just take a couple of minutes break we can clear the council chambers, and then we could go into an executive session to consider exempt information and records under 1926602F. If that's okay with council.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a break. All right, we've concluded our executive order, our executive session, and I think at 9:35, that was a long one. The next agenda item was good of the order. Is there anything else for, I know, mayor and council reports? Nothing.
I will just say that we have learned through the food pantry that the federal government has discontinued 2 programs. One affects school kids' lunches and the other one affects food pantries. So we're receiving 14% less through Marion Pope Food Share countywide for the 2 counties, in meats, cheeses, milk, eggs, things like that. They're really critical for our families to get.
So maybe we can put that in the newsletter. Please donate these items, meat, cheese, awesome.
Well, the problem is they're
Oh, wait, they can't do meat. Funds to donate. You guys can go and buy.
go buy it, but they cannot bring me those items because they have to be temperature checked at the store, temperature checked at the food pantry, and then handed out. So
So did
there's
you
a
put
lot
a-
of steps.
A list in the newsletter, or
I just said you can donate funds for items, and these are other items that we need.
You can't.
Well, meat, cheeses, eggs, they have to be temperature controlled.
So-
So like when I go pick them up, I have to have temperature blankets over them or ice chests or something that they go into. They don't just go in the back of my truck and I get to bring them here. So,
has to be, okay.
yeah, there has to be from the place I get it from to my place, there has to be. So like if somebody wants
All
to
supposed to be doing that?
go buy it, you could go to the store with me and you could
No,
pay
I mean, I
for
buy
it and then
groceries, but I don't have any temperature.
So do
Yeah.
you have a place in newsletter to actually donate funds?
it tells where to donate, yes. Where to donate foods and where to send funds. Yeah. But I just want to let you know, because I try to keep you guys updated when we have changes. We already had some cuts earlier this year and now we have this additional 14 that are critical for protein.
I helped fill Easter eggs yesterday. We had about 1,000 Easter eggs and they were filled in less than 20 minutes. And
There's a big crew here.
there was a big crew. It was fast. And then somebody was like, I have 2 garbage bags full of Easter eggs. So we had so much candy. And so we went back and opened up all the Easter eggs and added another piece of candy. And then we still had the small ones that we filled up. And that was a lot of fun. The kids were great. So we had like 4 different troops and scouts, and then the Corn Festival princesses helped out.
We have about 2,500 eggs for the Easter egg hunt total. And we have almost another 600 or 700 just random toys and chocolate and candy and stuff. So it should be a good event. I will buy you some more candy. They're extra candy, 1 piece, extra candy so you and others can throw candy down at the kids when they're running around. Because a lot of kids get so excited, they just run and they run by all the eggs and then they don't get a lot in their baskets. But I'll get some more so we can do that. So it should be a great event for Saturday.
And if you haven't come before, if you don't get there by 9:40, you won't find parking. And at 10 o'clock when it starts, you're done at 10:10.
We talked about handing out a flyer about the water increase at the Easter event. Did we forget about that? Can we do that?
I mean, we didn't think about that, but I think we could certainly put some stuff up there.
I would like to announce.
I didn't,
Yeah.
eggs.
I had some eggs. I would like it at just make a
Here's
simple
your
announcement.
We're getting
Just-
our water bill.
When I go up on the mic and just make a simple announcement for those of you that have a water bill,
Yeah.
there's some information at the, picnic table,
We'll
please
put
pick
it
it
at
up.
the picnic table. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And then
We've been
the-
putting the article in the newsletter every month. We've
I
been
know.
putting it on the back of the bills.
And then our Corn Festival princess asked if there was gonna be donuts again this year, and I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
The priorities of children.
A young community member, Nathan,
Landman.
is gonna do kind of a youth presentation on the wastewater facility geared towards kids on the 24th here in the community center. I'm gonna assist him, but it's part of his Eagle Scout project, but the idea was to get youth involved in it as well.
Do we have kids coming for him?
Yes, he's invited, he's part of the Eagle Scouts and he's invited some folks. We've put it out on the reader board. Yeah, we'll do a little presentation that way.
We let the schools know?
That'll be kind of nice. Yeah.
We did let the schools know?
I think he might have, but if not, we'll let Cascade know.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids are gonna get a big turnout on this and we
You
got
want
nobody.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
He probably will get a bigger turnout than we
It would
got.
be
That's
great to let
exactly
the,
right.
can we let the Cascade know? That'd be great.
Yeah,
Fun surprise for them.
yeah.
For your next big town
Yeah.
hall then, Ron.
All right, moving on to good of the order. Is there anything for good of the order?
Yeah, I just had one thing for council reports. I sent everyone an email. If you can get back to me with some input on that. If you don't have a way to just kind of scan that form and send it back to me, then at least just kind of go through the form and email me back some answers or some responses. And then I'll collect them all and record them on a final.
We can't autofill it on there? I thought it looked like I could click on it and fill it. No.
Do you have a due date for
Might
that?
be able to. Yeah, it was, what was it?
Didn't see one.
I didn't see it. I didn't,
Last month. Yeah,
Last month.
yeah, it was a due date last month. Just,
Good luck.
March. Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, Ron, we failed you.
All right, if that's everything, we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 9:43 PM.